Calling all listeners, calling all listeners. Ajax the gorilla has just escaped from the city zoo. Be on the lookout. Really nothing there, is there? This could be a possibility of your imagination. Oh, Mr. Wheeler, you've broken your toy. But just remember, Mr. Wheeler, drive safely, play fair, and shut up! J2 Love Industries presents and proudly sponsors JazzHandz, sponsored by Coolad, our proud mascot. Hello and welcome to JazzHandz Season 2 of our new series of podcasts. This is your host, Jordan Tyler Love, and we shall be interviewing one of Spectrum's most talented actors from the entire group. This is my first guest. So please give a hand and a warm welcome for the amazing Miss Alice Siberry. Good afternoon.
Hi. How are you?
Not too bad. Welcome to JazzHandz podcast. So basically, it's just to get what you do around there. I've got about 10 questions, so
Okay.
I hope you're going to be up for that.
Yeah,
And
let's go.
how's it been for you for the past couple of weeks?
Good. Yeah, everything's good, thanks. Yeah. Just been working really and doing stuff around the house. So yeah, it's been a good start to the new year, really.
Well, I've just been busy too. I've been busy with emails and stuff, preparing for the podcast, preparing for my one-man show sometime in August,
Yeah.
and I've been prepared. And thing is, so yeah, I know Andy's wanting to, get everything ready for both shows and stuff.
Mhm.
So before we start, would you like to introduce yourself? Because this is for the podcast every week.
Yes. So my name is Dr. Alice Siberry. I am nearly 29 years old, not quite yet, in a few months. And I am based in York. That's sort of a bit about. Is there anything else you'd like to know, Jordan?
So that's pretty much it. Okay, so basically, question one, what is your title at Spectrum? Just so the viewers and stuff.
My title. I am a member of Spectrum Theatre. I would say I probably have a little bit of senior responsibility. I wouldn't say it's necessarily in line with what our director Andy does. But I definitely act as a bit of a consultant, I guess, on some of the projects. I've done a bit of writing, a little bit of directing, and lead some of the groups some weeks. So I guess if you wanted to sort of assign it as a senior member, Jordan, I guess that's probably what you'd call it.
Of course. I mean, yeah, because I've been a rookie. Well, basically, I've been a rookie for 5.5 years because I run my own YouTube channel.
Mhm.
I'm preparing to be a voiceover artist. I mean, there's so many VAs that I've had as legends and stuff. But yeah, okay. Question two is, what roles have you played at Spectrum?
Oh, so at Spectrum Theatre, so I've been there since 2017, I think. So a good few years now. I was sort of the part of the second generation of the group. And the roles that I have played, this is a really good question, Jordan, you're testing my memory, I was in Christmas Carol in 2017, and I played the wife of Bob Cratchit's friend. I can't remember, I think he was called Fred, and I played his wife. And I also played one of the charity workers. I then went on to play one of the main roles in a musical called Sterling Silver. So my role was Lizzie, and I was a buffer girl. So it was set back in the 1920s when there were sort of steel workers and buffer girls who would buff the silver. And I was one of those characters. Then the year after, in 2019, I played a part called Sharon. in Strike, which was about the miners' strike in the 1980s, in down in Sheffield particularly, but sort of all over Yorkshire, I guess. And Sharon was the wife of a police officer. So we were sort of telling two perspectives, sort of the miners themselves who were on strike, and then the police officers who were often seen as being obstructive towards the strikes. And I played the wife of one of the police officers. And then in the most recent Spectrum production, which was Sanctuary, I played Claire, who was one of the immigration officers who took Victor Mujikachi, who the musical was about, as well as Endark Cisse. I played one of the immigration officers that took Victor to a detention centre in Lincolnshire. And ultimately, by the end of the musical, Claire has seen sort of the error of her ways, I guess, and decides to leave that job and go on to do bigger and better things, hopefully. So that's all of my roles that I've played whilst being at Spectrum.
Wow, that is a great resume, a terrific resume, if you will.
Thank you.
I mean, thing is, I would never have had the guts to play more than one role, which isn't theatre. But I mean, I'm used to behind the camera because
Yeah,
you know, 'cause the thing is, a lot of people get a lot of stage fright, and I can totally vouch for everyone that has had stage fright over the years. That
yeah.
nobody's been brave, just as such as you and everyone else, because you guys are used to that kind of potential. So, I mean, Andy's been running this for about 5, 6 years now, I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah. Since 2016, I believe, Spectrum's been a thing, with only 10 members. And then when I joined, there was quite an influx of people. So when we did Christmas Carol in 2017, I think there was about 20 of us. So he kind of doubled in size, and then he's just grown and grown, Jordan. And to be honest, going back to your comment about stage fright, I think exposure definitely helps, sort of doing it lots and lots. But also there's other techniques that people use to combat that. And we were in Sanctuary together, Jordan, which was your first time, as well as some of our other shows that we've done, like Moving On, and some of the other things that we've done. But you were fantastic, and I wouldn't have been able to tell that you had struggled with stage fright, which I think is the beauty of it, isn't it? Is that once you're on stage, you can't show that feeling. You have to just be the character.
Yes, I know. I mean, I just I had a lot of features of how, I just never had the guts just to make the right choice. I mean,
Yeah.
focusing on it is one thing, but remembering the lines without the script,
Yeah.
it's been rather difficult. But I mean, there's a lot of loop group artists that have only just had small roles, like I've heard,
Yeah.
because when it came to like voice actor Grada Lyle Griffin, formerly known as
Hmm.
Grey Griffin, just known as Grada Lyle, she auditioned for a couple of Nickelodeon shows as the main character via Classica Chupo with Charlie Adler, their voice director. But
Hmm.
apparently that role has been given to, a lesser known voice actress, if you will.
Yeah.
But when it came to the auditions that I've done at my voluntary for Nature's Productions, I auditioned for my first voiceover gig was as um, Bill Murray's character in one of the animations for Ghostbusters. My
Hmm.
second one has been for um, did the vocal effects for one of the Queen's dogs in Tuesday the 14th with their parody of Jason Voorhees. And
Oh.
my most recent role has been auditioning for the trailer narrator for some of the projects that I've done. And yeah, so basically, I'm training to be, part cartoonist, part voiceover artist. But yeah, I mean, Spectrum has given me that potential. I mean,
Hmm.
you guys enjoyed the teaser trailer, which I kind of thank you all for that. I would never have joined this group if I knew I had people that have supported each other, because that's what people do. We
Yeah.
support each other because
Hmm.
I'm on. Because don't get me wrong, um, even though I'm only 25 years old, I thought I would never make it into but it all takes perseverance, communication, and teamwork, which I kind of get in some of our projects over at work. But yeah,
Mhm.
it takes a lot of targets and stuff to beat your records and stuff. So um, I say just focus what you have. So,
Yeah.
what has been your most well-known role at Spectrum? Because I know you had
Oh.
this role in Sanctuary, which must have been one of your famous moments.
Well, it's funny, Jordan, actually, because the part there's probably two ways to look at this. With Claire, with the most recent role that I played in Sanctuary, that was the first time I'd ever done sort of like a solo, I guess. I know I had some backing accompaniment with the amazing Ro Eggleston and Tom Allmark, who was sort of singing the harmony track. But it was the first time I'd ever sang a solo, so it was quite a big moment for me, really, to have that opportunity and to be able to sing on my own on stage, no one else kind of to interact with but the audience. So that was a great moment, and for that reason you could say Claire was a defining part for me. However, I think my most famous my most sort of popular part that everybody would probably talk about is actually Lizzie from Sterling Silver. She was as a character, she was very boisterous. She was very different to me. I guess I'm quite I don't know, I wouldn't describe myself as boisterous. I am outspoken, but she was very quick. She was funny. She got the laughs. She was almost a bit of a comedy part, I guess. And I got to do that part against the amazing Tom Rose, who is no longer with us at Spectrum, as he's had a baby. But hopefully he'll come back at some point. But he played my sort of counterpart, Daniel Thornton, and it was just brilliant working with him. And Lizzie was just such a defining moment for my Spectrum career, in that I'd done a couple of shows with Spectrum. I'd had sort of smaller parts, which is never an issue in my opinion. I think smaller parts make shows. That is the purpose of shows, is those people in choral and ensemble type parts. But Lizzie was my first opportunity, I guess, to show the group what I could do. And it's gone from strength to strength, if I'm honest. So I'd say Lizzie, with the exception of Claire, who was also a particularly transitional moment with the solo in particular.
Wow, that is a great moment for you. It takes a lot of parts to get on with things.
Yeah,
Learning the lines is one thing, and then but the thing is, if I've learned is it's like when everyone is quite open. And I kind of love that. I like it when
yeah.
people are open and honest about their roles and stuff. It's
Hmm.
it's the captures the essence of their performances. Because I know
Hmm.
uh, one last time um one last time that I did my first gig. I wasn't proud of it. It was a box office bomb. It was supposed to be a Johnny Quest parody. I don't go back on my worst projects. I just scrap them for good. But when I
Yeah,
go back and watch them, it's not because I'm not proud of it. It's just that
yeah.
we did our best and stuff. I
Hmm.
mean, back at college, um, I did a lot of trying out things, and my goal is to try something original. For example, if I was to draw something that isn't out of place, like drawing over fruit or drawing over trees, or
Hmm.
you know acting like the tree is the actor itself, or if I'm just
Hmm.
playing like a small plot like this, um, my announcer voice, or if I'm announcing that some animal has escaped from the zoo like this, calling all listeners, Ajax the gorilla has just escaped from the city zoo. Be on the lookout. But then again, it learns from giving two types of voices, like giving
Yeah.
the accent of it, giving the because thing is, I've just learned to do a faux German accent, which was kind of not my best work. Because thing is, I was just impersonating D. Bradley Baker's Klaus from American Dad. But yeah, getting to know those familiar roles. from what you've watched in your childhood is a great privilege to learn in as part
Mm,
into gain you know, works and stuff. Okay, question five. Well, question four actually. Um, what are you most looking forward to during Spectrum? Because we've got two new shows coming up. I mean, we've
we
got All
do.
Change, and then we've got the Moving On one that some of us may or may not be able to do, but you know, it's a
Yeah,
choice actually.
it is. And the thing I love about Spectrum is that flexibility to do different things and to get involved with things that you're interested in. So throughout the spring summer months, we're going to be looking at those two performances. There's also another group, I believe, that are going to be doing some maybe some more niche stuff, some different stuff to look at ideas for the future, planning for future Christmas productions, that kind of thing. So me personally, I'm a very creative person. My brain works a mile a minute. I'm always thinking. I have a sharp tongue. I can't keep it in my mouth. I have to say something when I need to say it. So for me, having an ideas group and a space to contribute to what comes next within Spectrum is really beneficial for me and how I like to work. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm also really looking forward to revisiting All Change. So All Change was a production that Andy, the director, and myself co-wrote. So he wrote the kind of male parts of it, and I wrote the female parts of it because the whole show is about gender stereotyping. So we wanted to draw on our own experiences of what that was. So for me, for example, that was around going to sleepovers as a young teenager and being exposed to this world of girliness and wanting to wear makeup and do certain things and you know, all my friends wanted to go and do like hair and beauty at college, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to university, and how people push you in certain directions when you're a child. So All Change is all about that. And what I hope is that when now we're revisiting that production and looking at how we can maybe adjust it, how we can make it bigger and better, I'm just really looking forward to seeing what else comes out and hearing other people's stories and experiences of that kind of stereotyping as well. Because I know when we did it the first time, I wasn't on my own for facing those kinds of things and that kind of. There's a great scene where the girl character Olivia experiences catcalling. So young men on a building site kind of, you know, twit-tooing at her and stuff. And that's something I still experience on a near daily basis, you know. So being able to portray that on stage and make audiences aware of that experience of what it's like to be a woman in a modern society is something that I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can push that a bit further, perhaps. So All Change and the ideas group, I think, Jordan, are the things that I'm really looking forward to.
It's really great. I mean, it's great. It's great that we know each other's personalities. I know I'm getting used to the fact that some people are non-binary. It's just taking me a long time to
Sure.
understand the they and them pronouns because
Yeah.
this is the 21st century. It doesn't matter if people are gay, lesbian, or
Yeah.
heterosexual or straight or whatever. I mean, there's a
Hmm.
lot of cartoon characters recently that have done that particular scene, like in Lightyear. A lot of
Yeah.
people
Hmm.
criticizing the same-sex relationship um, Captain Alicia Hawthorne had with another woman, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt a little disappointed why um, both Lightyear and Strange World had were box office bombs because
Yeah.
it's the 21st century. Not every because in the Mario movie, for example, we see that in the trailer we see that Princess Peach isn't
Hmm.
just the love interest. She's
Hmm.
both stunning and hardcore at the same time. And
Yeah.
not every male protagonist, needs a love interest.
Exactly. You're so right, Jordan. And it's funny at Spectrum, we've actually kind of moved along ourselves because when I first started and we did Sterling Silvers, I told you about Lizzie. So her and Daniel were like they'd fallen in love and they were going to run away together, and it was all very typical love story stuff. And then in Strike, I played a character that was sort of, she had a husband, but then her old flame came back to town, you know, her ex-boyfriend, and there was a lot of like feelings there, and they had this sort of heated song passion moment where they were like, oh, I miss you, and all that kind of thing. And then in Sanctuary, I said to Andy, I was like, I think it would be really good if Claire and Darren, who was her boyfriend, actually weren't together, and they were almost like feuding, and that they, you know, Claire is this I don't need a man kind of attitude. I don't need, you know, I don't need you in my life. I don't need you to tell me what to say, all those kinds of things. And he went with it, and he was like, I think that's a really good idea. It's a good progression. Because I always found that they were the sorts of parts I would get typecast into, is those the female romantic lead. And actually it's nice to see with Spectrum that we are moving past those stereotypes, and I'd love in the future to see more use of we have non-binary actors who are part of Spectrum. I'd love to see them showcased more, that their stories are told. I'd love to see more representation of the LGBTQ plus community. I'd love to tell more stories about people's experience of religion and race and sex, and just all these kind of really I say they're really important things, but they're part of our everyday life, aren't they? And we focus on autism because we're spectrum theatre and we look at neurodiversity and autism, but alongside that come us and who we are and our experiences alongside being part of that. So I think that's really exciting as we grow and develop to hear more of that. And going back to what you were saying about that representation in cartoons, it's so important for our younger generation to see that it's okay to love someone of the same sex, or to see a non-binary character or a transgender character on screen. You know, they're really pivotal moments in our lives, and it makes me disappointed to hear that those two films in particular, both of which I've seen, didn't do so well, because possibly because of that prejudice that's there.
Yeah, there's a lot of criticism going around because there's this new TV show on Disney Plus called The Owl House,
Okay.
which has which is kind of Disney's first non-binary character. His
Oh,
name is
excellent.
yeah, because I can't remember his name, but the voice actor for him is also non-binary, and
Oh,
they
brilliant.
and they understood how they was performing their character. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for example, in the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, we have a new cast member called Maya Lebowitz Jenkins, and she
Mm-hmm.
has two fathers,
Excellent.
one of which is voiced by Zachary Quinto from the modern
Ah,
Star Trek.
yeah.
Um, so Barry Leibowitz Jenkins, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's one of the dads from the Proud Family, and we knew that one of the characters from the Proud Family, Michael, he's also gay, and it's okay to learn that people are queer. Because don't get me wrong, I'm straight, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean I can't accept people for who they are. I mean, learning
Mm-hmm.
about them is one thing, but getting to know them properly
Yeah.
is even
Yeah.
better.
That'll be an
Okay,
ally.
question. Oh yeah, question 5 is, what are your hobbies outside of Spectrum?
I thought you might ask me this one, Jordan. I was cleaning my house up earlier, and I thought, what's Jordan going to ask me on this podcast? And I said, he's going to ask you about your hobbies and interests outside of Spectrum. The truth is, Jordan, I'm a bit boring, if I'm honest. I don't really do a lot. I guess my big hobbies are I love to read. I spend a lot of time reading. When I'm not working, when I'm not at Spectrum, when I'm not doing other things, I'm usually sat with a book, particularly non-fiction. I love anything that's like fantasy, sort of dragons, and all that, like Game of Thrones type sort of stuff. I mean, I'll read anything if I'm honest, but they're my kind of preference. I do quite like a smushy romance novel from time to time as well, I must admit. They're not my favorites, but I will dip into one every now and then. I guess other hobbies, I spend a lot of time gardening. So I have what I can only describe as a small holding, I guess. It's not quite a farm, but it's not quite a garden. It's somewhere in between. So there's lots of maintenance to do on the property. At my weekends, I'm usually outside. I'm usually weeding, cleaning, sweeping, cutting back bushes. Last week we chopped down a tree. We do all sorts on the property. So I spend a lot of time doing that, as well as just general house renovation. We have an old property that we moved into last year, and it needs pretty much gutting and starting again. So I spend a lot of my time designing the house. I'm no interior designer, Jordan, but I do quite like to make like a Pinterest board from now and then when I spend my evenings Pinteresting and looking at curtains and all sorts of designing things. So nothing much. I spend most of my time working, if I'm honest, when I'm not at Spectrum. But when I do have the odd quiet time, I like to read. I like to get out in the garden, and I love looking at house interiors and doing up my house.
Cool, cool, cool. That really sounds like a lot. I know you say it's not much, but that seems a lot to me. I mean, at least you keep yourself occupied, and
I do.
when it comes to reading, at least you have a type of genre that everyone will want to share sometime at some point.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to me, I used to read a lot of biographies, and I still do.
Hmm.
I have still got a couple of them. But right now, I'm into comics, so whenever I'm not, because don't forget, I'm training to be a comic book artist. So
Yeah.
I've just completed my third comic, so
Excellent.
that's almost ready for publishing. But yeah, I'm more of a book fan. So I
And
do.
what is your new comic about, Jordan?
It's a cool lad, of course. He's J Till of Industries' proud mascot. I mean,
Hmm.
he's the protagonist. He's the adventurous, time traveling, um, adventurous surfer dude, who'd ladies man, everyday ladies man you call a mascot. So he's going to be a lot.
Excellent.
So at some point, I'll be able to show you at some point when we go back to Spectrum at some point.
Looking forward
Uh,
to it.
but yeah, okay. So what are your goals for this year, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, my goals for this year. Oh, do you know what? I am not a big New Year's resolution kind of gal. I don't like to sort of try, I don't know, I don't try to force change, I guess. I just like to sort of see where it goes. This year is actually my it's a bit of a myth, this, Jordan. You told me you were 25. So this is good advice, hopefully, but this is my last year of being in my 20s. So come this time next year, I will be heading over to the big 3-0. And I kind of feel like this year I want to do all the things that I want to do before I'm 30. So nothing spectacular. I just sort of want to get my life together, I guess. I want to be doing good at my job. I want to get the house a little bit more in order. I have house goals, so I want to have sort of 80% of the rooms finished, for example. The room that you can see behind me is nowhere near finished. This is the nicest wall in the room. The majority of my other walls that I'm looking at have just like breeze blocks in front of them. So I want to get them finished, and that's part of my goals. I want to have a nice summer, and I want to go on some nice holidays. I'm a big theme park enthusiast, so I want to get on some roller coasters this year. I want to, yeah, there's so many things. I don't, like I say, I don't try to force the change, but I just want to really enjoy this last year of being in my 20s, so that I can go bigger and harder when I'm in my 30s. Because what I've been told is that your 30s are even better than your 20s. And as I move towards it, I can totally feel that's going to happen. So I just want to get my life in order a little bit, so that when the big 3-0 hits me, I'm ready to take the world by storm.
Cool. I mean, that's a really good resolution. That I mean, I would have never thought about all this because this year, because I'm 26 in August, so
Okay.
I plan to just focus on getting some of my jobs done at home,
Yeah.
finishing off the comics and stuff, working on my third comic tonight. I'm going to this club, and then hopefully go and see my cousin in Shipley, because she lives in Shipley. And then,
Ah,
well, I have family all over. I have some in Manchester, some in London, some in Bradford, some in Bedford, and some in
wow.
Newcastle. So there's a
Oh
lot
my
of people.
goodness.
Well, I have a big family, so it's kind of extended family. But um, basically, my goal is just to focus a bit more on the company and try and animate my first ident for the company, so I'll be able to
Excellent.
promote it and stuff. But
Sounds
yeah,
fab.
I'm kind of looking forward to do one man show. And did you know that to I've green lighted it up to 2026. So I'll have at least four
Wow.
more shows. So if you've missed the first show, they'll be all on YouTube, just like this podcast will be.
Yeah,
And I bid you good luck to all those resolutions.
thank
Okay,
you.
question 7. If you had a celebrity favorite, who would you want to meet and why?
Ooh, who would I want to meet and why? Oh, that's such a big question. Who would I want to meet and why? I feel like my celebrity favorites change all the time. Literally day to day, that I could give you a different answer to that question. I think right now, earlier in the week I was working away and I was working down in Exeter, which is in Devon, really long way away. And while I was down there, my husband Jonathan, he sent me a message saying they've announced who's going to be at the Star Wars convention. So me and him, we're massive Star Wars fans. If you couldn't tell by the poster, we also have a
Did
number of
recognize the
those.
poster?
We have four of them along our walls, and we've been to lots of Star Wars conventions and met lots of people there. One of my all time greats was I met Mark Hamill, who
Wow.
yeah, it was just incredible. If I could get the pic, I've got a picture in a frame over there, but it's on a big frame, so I can't get it out and show you. But Jordan, next time we're at Spectrum, remind me, and I'll show you the picture on my phone of me and Mark Hamill.
Will do.
So we go to these conventions all the time, and he messaged me saying, "You'll never guess who's coming to the next Star Wars convention." And I was waiting with bated breath, and he sent me the picture, and it's this lovely lady called Ashley Eckstein. Do you know Ashley Eckstein, Jordan?
Yes, she was in Star Wars: The Clone Wars alongside
She
James
was.
Arnold Taylor.
Yes. So Ashley Eckstein is coming to the Star Wars convention. So we've not booked tickets, but I was like, Jonathan, we need to meet Ashley Eckstein. I think she's like very high on my list at the moment, Jordan. And the reason for that is she is just a total girl boss. She is like, she's got her own company, her own brand. She does clothing. She does the voice of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, like you say, Jordan. She's just absolutely fantastic. I love her. I just think she's really a really down to earth, cool person, and I'd love just to stand in her presence and absorb all of that goodness from her. So she's probably top of my list at the moment, but like I say, it changes from day to day. I could give you hundreds of people that I would love to meet, but she is number one at the moment, and it might happen, Jordan. Fingers crossed I get to go to the Star Wars convention and meet her.
Well, again, I bid you good luck. I've always
Thank
wanted
you.
to meet one of the voice actors from one of my favorite cartoons. I've wanted to meet um what's her name now? What's her name now from 16 and Total Drama? I've wanted to meet Christian Potenza and Megan Follenbach, the voices of Chris McLean and Gwen from Total Drama, and the voices of Jude and Jen from 16. Because
Oh.
Cool Lad is based on Jude Lazowski from 16 and a bit of Chris McLean, even though Chris is evil. So
Oh.
that's yeah. Christian and Megan have been long time VAs I've been wanting to meet, just like
Mhm.
most of the other Canadians from that series. But I have been watching a lot of doing a bit of research on the legendary Heather Locklear recently. I've been looking at clips of Dynasty, been looking at clips of
Mhm.
Melrose Place, and I've watched a couple of episodes of the William Shatner show, TJ Hooker. So I'm
Mhm.
hopefully going to do a blog about her in the next couple of months. But so that's
Excellent.
one thing I'm looking forward to when I've got time to do stuff.
Great.
And
You're so
then
busy.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot because I've got to help with Spectrum and this and with voluntary. So and I've got to help getting up the company site. So it's just got a lot to take in. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it a month at a time. That's all I've got to do. Okay, the final question is, what is your favorite movie?
Oh. Oh, is it cheating to say this one.
No,
um,
say it. I'd like to.
oh, I have so many. Again, this question changes for different periods of my life. I probably like franchises, I guess, probably more than like one individual film, Jordan. Although I do love a few sort of movie musicals. Moulin Rouge, which featured Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman, is one of my favorite movie musicals. I never watch it though because it makes me cry. And then apart from that, I'd say probably the Star Wars franchise has just changed my life. I love it. I love all of them, even the new ones. For those viewers who want to have an argument about the new Star Wars films, hit me up because I'll argue till I'm blue in the face. And then the other franchise, I guess, Jordan, that I love is Harry Potter. And going back to that conversation we had earlier about the LGBTQ plus community, that is not to say that I support the views of J.K. Rowling and what she's sort of said about particularly transgender people. But Harry Potter as a story it came out in such a pivotal time in my life. I was Harry's age when he would have found out that he was a wizard, I guess, and that magical world that it opened up to lots of people of our generation, and changed the way that we see the world. It was just very magical, if you pardon the pun. And it's something that will always stick by me. It's one of those films that I can quote. I could do all the trivia. It's just a fantastic film franchise. That being said, I've not particularly enjoyed the Fantastic Beasts series. I think they've kind of ruined the world of Harry Potter by venturing down that route. But the actual Harry Potter franchise, I think, is just is life changing for some people. But like I say, I don't necessarily agree with J.K. Rowling's views. So yeah, they're probably my three sort of movie musicals: Star Wars and Harry Potter.
Great. That's great to hear. Well, I've always loved Meet the Robinsons and Treasure
Mm-hmm.
Planet, and
Oh,
my favorite Pixar movie. I don't tell this to everyone. My all-time favorite has to be A Bug's Life. I've been meaning to do
oh, really?
I'm meant to be borrowing some footage for the one-man show at some point. I don't know if it's going to be for this year though, but other than that, I'll give you a couple more impressions because we've just got under a few minutes. So here's one. Hey bartender, Bloody Mary, all positive. Aha! Ah, that was the mosquito, by the way.
Very
And
good.
I'll give you an impression of my famous mascot.
Mhm.
Hey bros, cool lad here. I just wanted to say this has been an absolute honor being part of JT Love Industries, bro. Wow, I mean, there's a lot of accomplished. So, and thing is, like I said, I based Cool Lad on Jude from 16. So I
Okay.
have Christian Pretender to, use it as inspiration. So I do hope we work together more often. At the moment, I just don't have any ideas myself because I've been busy focusing on other things. So I just like to participate and see
Yeah.
where Andy goes with this. I hope he
And
should be
that's what
very proud of this
Spectrum's
company.
is what Spectrum's all about, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
that
I mean,
flexibility, that choice, that ability to work with different people and do different things. And it's been a pleasure, to be honest, Jordan, getting to know you because of your passion and your enthusiasm for what you do. And I think you should be really proud of what you've achieved so far because I think you're going to go really far in life. And to say that I knew Jordan Love when he was small. I'm going to be that person. I'll be your fan, your biggest fan when you're a celebrity.
well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate people supporting me, and I support you a lot because thing is, without Spectrum, I never would have made it to do my one-man show. I mean,
Yeah.
I got the idea from Sing 2, but I mean, um, my sister's been very proud of me. She's been there for me. She and my mum have been very supportive, and I have them to thank, and I have my other extended family because they're proud of me too. I mean, I never would have made it without them, and I would never have made it without you lot. So thank you so much for that. And
Very welcome.
if there's anything you'd like to, if there's anything you'd like to say, because I know that Spectrum. What made you want to be part of that? By the way, did you just get an email, or did you just think of doing it?
I came to see in someone else's shoes. That's how I got into it. So they did a small showcase of in someone else's shoes at the University of Sheffield, and I was at the University of Sheffield at the time doing my PhD, and I just thought they were fantastic. And I really wanted to get back into theatre. I've always done theatre as a kid. I've grown up in theatres doing theatre, and I just thought they were a wonderful group. So I emailed Andy. I got involved. And you can too, anybody listening who perhaps is in Sheffield looking for a great group to be part of. I don't think I could advocate enough, as Jordan has as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I came into it. But I would like to just say thank you very much.
And that's all we have time for. Join in next time for episode 3 of Jazz Hands podcast.